We do have a quorum, so let's call this meeting to order. It's 8:32. See if I can have a roll call, please.
Member Cahill? Here. Vice Chair Garcia?
Here.
Member Evans? Member LaPlante? Here. Member Colbert? And Chair Rutledge.
Here. Thank you. And we do have public comment this morning. First is Dave Barkus talking about dark skies. Member Covert, welcome.
Morning, everybody.
David, come on over here.
Okay. What I did last on May 6th, went to Scarce's event, Growing Green, and it was a great event. A little bit of rain, lots of people, and they all understood exactly what we're looking for, which is basically warm lighting so we don't attract any of the insects, which was the theme of the garden show for me. The next thing we've got going, I'm working with Scarce, and Home Depot is going to give us a grant. They're completing a grant for us to develop a permanent lighting exhibit for Scarce. So we hope to have that in the next 6 weeks or so. And that's all I have today.
Thank you. Thanks for your efforts too. Next for public comment, we have Tom Hallen.
Good morning. To ensure that our communities will always be desirable places to live, work, and raise families where all feel welcomed. To define and fulfill its role in supporting and enhancing the quality of life for county residents by keeping people safe, protecting and enhancing natural resources and infrastructure. To foster the continued growth of its economy by championing DuPage County as a desirable place in which to live and work. These values are the mission statement of the county. I have recently had severe impacts to my quality of life due to destruction of the environment, namely protected wetland of endangered species. After destruction of vegetation, the loud sound of an air handling unit was first noticed by residents. The sound has previously been abated by the now removed trees, was minimal at best, and was a non-issue. Now the noise is very intrusive and severely impacts the local properties. This noise pollution is unbearable. This reduces my quality of life, property value, and damages the protected wetland. The sound is so bad that if left unmitigated, I could no longer live in my home. This noise pollution is also detrimental to the endangered species that inhabit the pond, which is against the mission statement and legislation of DuPage County, the state of Illinois, and the federal EPA. Up to this point, I feel my local government has been dismissive of my claims. My neighbors share this sentiment. It is the duty of this board to rectify these violations, protect the environment, wetland, and endangered species of the county and Illinois. Under the current conditions, I cannot claim my property as being a desirable place to live, work, and raise a family, as is the mission statement of the county in which I am represented. The city of Wheaton is oppressing me as a resident of DuPage County. I have no recourse as the violations are emanating from city of Wheaton in which I am unrepresented. For this reason, I call upon the board to do what is right and take action on the violations at hand. These issues should be handled by this board in conjunction with the Stormwater Board. I've submitted documentation showing damage done and mitigation strategies. I request these actions be performed, and I would like to submit a physical copy of those as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. I did skip over Chairwoman's remarks, but we have a full agenda this morning, so I am not going to be giving any remarks. Next, I'll make a motion on the approval of minutes from Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Next, parent committee approval for ENR 001723. I'll make a motion for the acceptance of additional funding for the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency Solid Waste Management Grant FY22 Intergovernmental Agreement Stormwater number in the amount of $10,000 under the administrative direction of the DuPage County Environmental Division. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. Next, we're going to change the order of our presentation. So first will be Scarce.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning, Kate.
Good morning, Teacher everybody's quiet.
More early.
So we're waiting for the PowerPoint, yeah. So you guys, it's been extraordinarily busy, so really, really fast today. So Earth Flag Ceremony research for Edison Middle School. Sheila was there and read the proclamation. It was an excellent, they had the entire 700 and something students and their entire staff. Enthusiastic. Their band, 3 of the band members played. It was great. Working on Addison's libraries, Earth Flag, Bensonville's, Downers Grove Public Library. A lot of libraries are moving up. Go ahead. Thanks. So just really fast. Stevenson School is a really young school, little school, and it's in unincorporated Lombard, part of the Villa Park School District. They have such an enthusiastic, these are kindergarten through 2nd grade kids, you guys. And so they cleaned this whole wetland area. They found 1 million golf balls. I guess it wasn't 1 million, but over 200. Anyway, and then if you look at the bottom picture there, they used plastic caps from bottles and things to create flower art and all kinds of things. You guys really enthusiastic. They had an entire week of Earth Day activities. And then on the top right, Pierce Downer School. They've been doing this with us for a while, but we thought we'd mention it because exchanging things, reusing puzzles. So they did 64 puzzles. They had them out there. Kids could bring some, kids could take them. The only thing they asked them was do one more time to make sure it had all the pieces. That was really great. Next one. And like I said earlier, the Naperville Park District, it was just, we were so busy for their Earth Day event. We had 2 tables. One table was with the watershed and the other table was proper recycling and what to do with odds and ends kinds of things and hazardous waste. So it was really, really well received, and contaminants. Lake Park, these are the Lake Park students, came for a field trip to learn. These are AP students and their environmental club came to learn and then lend a hand. And then third is Glen Ellen has a really great program. Their schools have the ambassadors clubs, and those ambassador clubs are kind of like the eco clubs in their schools. And so these are the 5th graders at Ben Franklin School. Working with them on the 3 hours program and getting some ideas for the incoming 5th graders for next year. Go ahead. So the Growing Green Market, Dave, thanks for mentioning it. Yeah, we had, even with the rain in the morning, I know Sheila was there, Paula was there, several people were there. Thanks so much. We had, close to 500 people, and even in the rain, but lots of plants, you guys, lots of native plants. We were thrilled with the number of plants that came in with vendors and with our stuff, as well as those that went out. And we tried the repair project. This was sharpening garden tools. In 4 hours, the guy got 55 garden tools. And shears and pruning shears, that's 2 sides. So that's like 2 blades to sharpen. So he was super busy. He could not get all 55 done in 4 hours. So people had to come back. And then we had 3 workshops. Scott from Cantini was there on invasive species. This lady right here with your backyard chickens and how to care for them. And then I did backyard composting. Go ahead. And York Community High School, you guys, they just keep winning. This time they came in 6th in the entire country for plastic bags, 8,028 pounds. So I know we don't want to have plastic bags, right, Jacqueline? But at least they're not going to Target or to Walmart that is landfilling them and incinerating them, as you saw on TV. Yeah. So they're getting made into the plastic lumber. So that was really great. We were a collection site, and then we have volunteers who picked it up and took it there. So we were glad to help with that. And then they're working on their water quality flag, and they got the Green Schools project for helping with several water projects in net zero. Go ahead. Whittier Elementary School in Downers Grove. We did a waste audit with them, and they submitted it to the Green Schools project and won an award for that, for creative reuse of resources. So pretty cool. Go ahead. So West Chicago, you guys, they have this huge group of people of all of their organizations, social service organizations, school, library, park districts, tutoring programs. All of these organizations come together once a month. Once a month they're in person. The next month it's virtual. So they met at Scarce 34. Anyway, this was the biggest crowd they've had, and they were worried people might not come from West Chicago all the way to where we are in Addison, but they came. Great time, learned a lot. We talked a lot about energy conservation, water conservation, recycling, earth flags, and things like that. Sheila spoke. Thank you for being there to speak about that. It was really well done. Everybody participated. I was excited how they run their meetings. So we were glad to have them. Go ahead. So library partnerships, we know we're a small group and we cannot go to every library and talk about all the things that we talk about. So we invited libraries to Scarce, library directors and green team members. So we had 2 meetings and we had 29 attendees from the different libraries in DuPage County. And we talked about earth flags, book reuse, book recycling, book energy conservation, all kinds of things, and zero waste. We had a zero waste event, so you can see on the table. So the tablecloths made out of pop bottles, reusable dishes, and composting for their tea bags and stuff. So they're getting the idea of zero waste by seeing it, you know, in a real example, real day example. Go ahead. And smoke detectors. So this committee, Joy, that we got 2 of the collection bins and processes for smoke detectors. So each bin, if you load it really, really great, we can get 115 to 125 smoke detectors in there. So we've now filled both of those containers, and then we'll send them in, and then we'll get documentation about how much radiation was prevented, radioactive chips were prevented from getting into the environment. So we did announced collections at Lyle and at Woodridge, and then we've collected them like at the Villa Park event. We've got a few and stuff like that. So both bins are full. We'll get those picked up and sent out and protect the environment really for centuries to come. So thank you for that. Go ahead. So recycling extravaganzas, it's been incredible. I think we're going to do 27 this year. So these are the ones that we have completed. West Chicago's this past Saturday, I think it was the biggest turnout ever. And it was odd because Wayne Township had theirs on the same day. So even with 2 events in the same town, we got over 100 pounds of medication. The West Chicago Police Department has canceled right now, maybe put on hold, I'm hoping, their medicine collection. So 100 pounds of medicine in 4 collection bins of EpiPens and syringes. Won't have to go to the landfill. So that was really, really great. And we had a different layout this year, so it really made it easier for the residents coming through. Go ahead. And so these are, we have a big open house coming. We're trying a daytime one. Not everybody is off on the weekend, so we're trying a daytime one, June 15th. And then STEMapalooza is that huge event at the fairgrounds for 3 days, all with environmental activities. And then our Wonder About Water. So you guys, this exhibit on the right, the picture, is showing it'll be a cube, like the one that goes to the libraries about recycling. This is all going to be about water conservation, protecting water quality. So where your medicines go, those kinds of things. So that should be delivered sometime in June. And then these recycling extravaganzas are still to come. So we've really been really busy. We've been really grateful for all the people turning out and caring to do the right thing with their leftovers and get things in the right spot. I think that's the last one. Is that right? Any questions, you guys? Yes.
Quick question, plastic bags, which I know Go Green is going to be talking about. Do you collect plastic bags at Scarce for these furniture? It sounds like.
When there's a school that wants it, yep, we do during the school year.
Okay,
Right.
so during the school year.
Right. We get a lot of plastic bags. So you know that Jacqueline and Catherine and I did that legal and voters kind of thing on
Sure.
plastic, but yeah. So we do not announce it, but everybody, so many people bring us stuff in plastic bags. So we get those all recycled.
Okay.
We're hoping that Jewel's doing the right thing since we know Target and Walmart are not.
No.
But it's really hard. It's really hard to make sure the right thing is happening. So when the school, we already have 3 schools that want to do it next year. So when they want to do it, we will be collecting for them. Yeah, and that goes to Jewel. So that's the Trex lumber program. So I'm hoping that that's truly happening with all the plastic bags, right?
So we're hoping that Jewel's doing the right thing.
Since they have a contract with Trex, it sounds like it has a place for sure to go. I just don't know how much plastic lumber they can make.
That's good to know.
Trex porch, I didn't know.
There
Thank
go.
you so much,
Thank you very much.
We're going to shift around our agenda a little bit more today. So we're going to go to the discussion. Jacqueline, I'm so sorry I want to make sure you get all the time you need, but I've got to keep our state's attorney in the room for our discussion about the waste and recycling hauling service follow-up survey was attached to the packet. Just looking at any feedback questions. I've been telling a lot of people I'm going to be talking trash all summer long. So please urge your constituents to respond to the survey, put it out on your social media when it does come out. Anybody have any questions about the survey, any changes that they want to see?
I thought it was very good. It gave a lot of information and that I don't think was maybe clearer in the first round. So I'm hoping that this will give people a little bit more information so that they will have a better understanding of what exactly Right.
Well, the first survey was merely to find out what people were paying and to
Right.
kind of answer that question. So,
Right.
yes, Ina.
Thank you. So I also think the survey is great, but I am concerned that it is quite lengthy and there are lots of words. And I know that before the survey, not a lot of people completed the survey or not as many people as we'd hoped. So I'm just wondering if there's a way to condense some more of the information and to use graphics or make it more clear. This is what you would like. It says subscription model and then it says single hauler model. And I'm wondering if it would be better if you just put, you know, the subscription model on one side, this is what you currently have. Or this is, and put next to it, the single hauler model, this is what we are
Could be.
proposing, right? This is what you could have and have it kind of side by side of, this is what's happening on here, here are the pros and cons of this, and kind of do a side by side kind of comparison as opposed to these bullet points. I just don't know if everybody's gonna read this, right? There's
So to
my
answer the
info.
first question you had, the consultants that we hired expected a 2% return on the survey.
Okay.
We got 7.
Oh, okay.
So we did get a much greater response, 7% of 20,000 homes. Yeah, there surely is an argument to be made that that wasn't a good survey result, but we did get more than we expected.
Right.
Obviously, you know, it's a little can of wormish what we're asking for people here, and that's what we want to know. But I like your idea, Joy.
Sure. We can talk, is Phil on? Michelle, do you know?
I am.
Okay, so we are, in response to that, we are working with GIS on their survey model. What we're trying to do is make it so they're not clicking, you know, when they scan the code, they're not going to a page of all of this text. What we're going to do is give them an introductory paragraph and then have them click here for more. I like the idea of a table. We'll see if we can make that work where they're side by side. And that way they can also click and just go straight to the survey because obviously the survey is the most important part and the reason we're doing this. But we want that education component as well. So Phil, do you have anything to add?
No, I like the idea. I think if it can work with the GIS department, I'm all in favor of doing a side by side. So your eye catches more of it at a glance. So.
Good. I like the comparisons too. Thanks, Ina, for that. And so it looks like if we're going to still be making changes, this will come back to committee in July, actually, which we are probably not going to have a meeting in July. So how's that?
It may be August. Well, we can talk about that. We could email out a copy. What are you thinking here?
So, I mean, the questions overall, if the committee likes the questions format wise, we will work with our consultant GIS to try to get, you know, to maybe implement some of your changes. But if the questions are acceptable to the committee, I would recommend maybe giving staff the go ahead to get it out, given that with some latitude for the format and how it's going to be sent out. Because I don't think we want to wait until
No, I
it
don't
would be
either.
August then, by the time we get back here, it's kind of long. So I would probably go ahead and give the latitude to committee or to staff.
Happy to do that. Do you need any kind of a formal vote to do
Consensus
that?
would be,
Consensus,
would be
okay.
perfectly fine.
So would the consensus, everybody, be to let staff,
Yes.
I would imagine we'll see that final result once they do the bullet points or the columns like you suggested. And we can elicit any questions at that point. So thank you all for that. There you are. Next, our presentation. I saw Jacqueline's presentation with the League of Women Voters event that they held at Cantini, and it was eye-popping. So I invited her to come and give us her presentation on Go Green. Why is plastic and what is it and why should we care?
Thanks, Sheila. Thank you so much for inviting me this morning. So my name is Jacqueline Casaza, and I'm a DuPage County lifelong resident. I grew up in Naperville, and I currently live in Glen Ellen with my husband and 2 sons. And I'm the president and co-founder of Go Green Glen Ellen. We're a community environmental organization with a mission to help Glen Ellen residents and businesses be greener. So as the leader of this organization, I spend a lot of my time learning about environmental issues like plastic pollution, and I'm excited to share some of that with you this morning. So I'm going to talk about plastic a lot. So here are 3 key ideas I want you to keep in mind and take away from my presentation. Number 1, Virtually every piece of plastic ever created is still on this earth. Number two, the chemicals that make plastic can make it harmful for our health. And number three, there is simply too much plastic to manage with recycling alone. We need to refuse and reduce this material in our lives. So what is plastic? Next slide, please. So plastic is a polymer made of fossil fuels and various chemical additives to change its properties. This is the part of my presentation where I show you cute pictures of my kids and talk about how wonderful plastic is before I get into some of the scary stuff. So as we know, it's an incredibly versatile material. It's durable, it's lightweight, it's inexpensive to make, and can take on any number of shapes and colors. All of these properties have made it very popular. Just think about all the plastic now we didn't use even 15 to 20 years ago. Almost all food packaging, kids' toys, lots of our clothing is all made from synthetic materials. There's even plastic in chewing gum. So just how much plastic do we make? Next slide, please. On this slide, I have several numbers that are almost too mind-boggling to comprehend. I can't even visualize what is 5 trillion plastic bags that we produce every year, but it's a lot. Bottom line is we make a lot of plastic and production is expected to double in the next 15 years. So the biggest problem in my mind with the way we make plastic today is that about half of our plastic production is used for single-use products. Name anything else that you buy and you throw half of it away after using it only one time. We don't treat our clothing, our housewares, our cosmetics, or even food like this. This is a major design flaw with the way we use plastic because, here comes my first takeaway, virtually every piece of plastic ever produced is still on this earth. So where is it? Next slide, please. Okay, so the giant blue blob on the left represents all, or I should say, the whole big blob on the screen represents all the plastic that's ever been produced. And about 30% of it is still in use. So if you think about an airplane, for example, all the plastic components of an airplane, you hope that those last for a very long time. So the large section represents the remaining 70%, which mostly goes to the landfill. That's in gray. A small portion of it is burned, which I can't even get into today, but that clearly presents its own environmental challenges. That's kind of that small gray bar underneath that says incinerated. And the bottom green bar is the plastic that is recycled. So less than 9% of all plastic that's produced is recycled. And keep in mind when plastic is recycled, it has a short life. So it's not recycled in the same way, for example, as aluminum. So aluminum can be recycled infinitely, and aluminum can become an aluminum can over and over and over. Plastic is most often downcycled. So for example, a water bottle becomes a pair of sunglasses or a rug or insulation, but you can't turn those sunglasses or that carpet back into a plastic water bottle. And eventually those things will get thrown away, which is again represented in that gray landfill bar. So just that like teeny tiny loop is plastic that's recycled, that's still in use. So now we know there is a tremendous amount of plastic that is no longer in use. So where does all that go? Next slide, please. Okay, I'm going to illustrate this again back to some cute family photos. So here's my son Patrick with a straw he found helping me do a beach cleanup we did in Michigan near our family lake house. So plastic doesn't degrade or break down. Instead, it breaks apart when it's exposed to light, heat, or pressure over time. So you can see in the slide or in the photos some examples of plastic fragments that we picked up on our beach. And in the photo in the far right, you can see the dime to illustrate the scale of just how small these plastic fragments are. And by the way, I challenge everyone in the room listening to take a walk around your neighborhood later today or tomorrow. I guarantee you will find some fragment of plastic, a bottle cap, candy wrapper, plastic utensils. But at least being able to pick up these fragments with my bare hand enabled us to capture them. As plastic continues to be exposed to the elements, it breaks apart even further. Next slide, please. All right, so now we're going to move on to some not so cute and I think downright scary photos of plastics and microplastics in our environment. So plastic gets to the point that it's so small as it breaks apart that it's ingested by animals, which is a problem for us because we consume animals. And as it gets smaller still, it breaks into our gets into our water and soil. You can see the microplastic filament on a snowflake and the plastic filament that's in the stem of a plant. Microplastics have been found in freshly fallen snow in Antarctica, the bottom of the deepest point of the ocean, and really all over the globe. And as a result, we eat, breathe, drink, and absorb tiny pieces of plastic into our bodies every day. Microplastics have been found in drinking water, both bottled and tap, actually much higher in bottled water than tap water, in food, and in the studying of indoor and outdoor air. Studies have found microplastics in the placentas of unborn babies, in human breast milk, in our blood, and in our lungs. And this is irrespective of geographic location or socioeconomic status. It's truly a global problem. Next slide, please. So remember I said earlier that plastic is a polymer made from fossil fuels with different chemical additives included. When that plastic breaks apart, whether it's within the environment or in our bodies, those chemical additives can be released. And my next point is that the chemicals that make plastic can make it harmful for our health. There are thousands of different chemicals in plastic and very few have been tested. However, many of the ones which have been tested contain what are known as endocrine disruptors. These chemicals can mimic or confuse our endocrine system, which regulates our hormones. Almost every major organ in the body, like our brains, hearts, kidneys, pancreas, and reproductive organs, are regulated in part by our endocrine system. And endocrine disrupting chemicals have been linked with developmental, reproductive, neurological, and immunity dysfunction, and other problems like obesity and hormone-sensitive cancers. So you may have heard of some of these endocrine disrupting chemicals like parabens, phthalates, PFAS, also BPA, and the now banned DDT. Next slide, please. Because people are typically exposed to multiple endocrine disruptors at the same time, assessing individual health impacts is difficult. I'm not a medical professional, and I'm not here to tell you that the takeout container you ate out of last night for dinner is going to kill you. But the research is clear and becoming clearer that endocrine disruptors are linked to a variety of health issues. All of us in this room probably know or have been impacted personally by things like infertility, miscarriage, ADHD, autism, or cancer. And because of these negative health impacts that I see as a mom and as a concerned member of my community, I want to ask everyone in the room, do we think it might be worth re-examining our relationship with plastic? Next slide, please. Plastic production has doubled in the last 15 years and is expected to double again in the next 15 years. We've never lived with this amount of plastic and this level of exposure to these chemicals before. We are the test case. And the sheer volume of plastic we are producing is too much, and there's too much at stake, which brings me to my last key point. There's simply too much plastic to manage with recycling alone. We need to refuse and reduce the amount of material, because the material in our lives. But there is some good news. Based on a recent bipartisan poll conducted by Ipsos, 8 in 10 Americans favor local or state government policies to reduce single-use plastic. Yes, nearly 90% of Democrats and over 70% of Republicans agree on something, that this is a problem, and they're actually asking local leaders to do something about it. So as elected members of the DuPage County Board, you have the opportunity not only to address, but to lead on this issue. Go Green Glen Ellen and other community environmental groups in the DuPage County area would be pleased to support the Environmental Committee in researching and planning strategies to reduce single-use plastic consumption and pollution throughout the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions?
I just have a comment. That
Number-
was a phenomenal
Oh,
presentation.
Yes,
And
that's what I
learned
thought
so
too.
much. And
It's a problem, it's scary.
It is scary, and so it's overwhelming. So to think about, you know, like the stats I put, and how do you handle 5 trillion plastic bags? We can't handle that, but we can do things in our communities, and people are asking for us to do things in our
If you
communities.
see organic vegetables, that's 100% organic, wrapped up in plastic
Oh,
on a
yeah.
styrofoam tray. So
Yeah.
well, you just ruined it.
I know, yes.
Member LaPlante.
Thank you so much for this presentation. And for the environmental committee, I would love to see more of this type of an approach. To me, this is what our job is on this committee and on this board, is to really, really go after some of these extremely health impacting environmental issues that we're facing. I feel like we can do so much more as a county board in this area. So I appreciate you bringing this here, and I appreciate Tara for bringing her here, because this is the kind of information that is highly impactful and motivating.
Yeah.
And this is an important educational opportunity for people to understand. And I love the fact that you're saying refuse
That's
before,
right there.
right?
Yeah.
And that's how we've been living in our house, and we've done it with 4 kids using as little plastic as possible. It's hard, it's a pain, but you just get used to it.
Yeah.
And the kids are a lot better at it than we are,
They are.
because we've
Yeah.
raised them like that, right?
Uh-huh.
But I do think this is something that we can embrace. And I encourage that wholeheartedly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for your present.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. My thought is, it just really scares me, the future looking ahead, and how the number of plastic is going to be increased in production. It seems like refusing it at our end, but how do we as a county stand with other federal agencies in order to make manufacturers stop producing plastic? That seems to be where we have to really get to, do more. I don't know if there's a way that Go Green, I mean, it's great to try to do it in our homes. We never have water bottles, that kind of thing, but get to the root of it, the manufacturing of the plastic.
Right, I agree. There's a great analogy that's often used with this, which is if your bathtub was totally full and you were trying to empty it with a teaspoon, you wouldn't leave the tap running. That's basically like what we're trying to do with recycling, is we're like draining our bathtub with a teaspoon while the tap is on full blast. So I think, there's a number of different roles that people can play, like Go Green Glen Ellen. Our role is we can educate the community, and we can do presentations like this to local leaders. But I think as far as like legislation goes, and Joy, maybe you want to speak to this a little bit, but there is a lot of pending legislation on different things. And for example, the state of Illinois was trying to pass a styrofoam ban retail for restaurants. That ultimately didn't pass. They did get the government one to pass, but extended producer responsibility bills. Have you talked about it this committee before? Yeah, okay. So I think that is, because really, I mean, the other thing is we all are, we try to eliminate with our water bottles and use reusable plastic bags or things like that. But again, it's like, it's putting the onus on the consumer. And I'm not asking for my organic peppers to be plastic in a plastic bag. I just want to be able to go and get the pepper. I don't want the styrofoam tray. So I think we do need to push back on the manufacturers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is this presentation on DuPage?
I don't know. Let me look into that.
Put up there.
Sure.
Yeah, let's take a look at that. All righty, Jacqueline, thank you so much for
Thanks so
coming
much.
this morning. Your program, again, mind-boggling. Do we have any old business? Seeing none, do we have any new business?
I do have.
Lindsay.
This was actually inspired by the plastics pollution presentation, and Member Cahill mentioned, like, what can we as a county do, because it seems so overwhelming. And I was wondering how, if Joy Haynes, if you have any suggestions on how the county can stop ordering Pepsi bottles and all the plastic bottles that are even in our cafeteria. Can we update those? I think we just updated our vending machine contract, but is there a way to rewrite that so that we do not sell single-use plastics in our cafeteria?
It's an excellent question, and that would be something for probably the HHS.
When I was in
committee.
Europe last
Yeah.
year, they don't have plastic water bottles. They have like little milk cartons of water.
Okay.
And I'd love to see something like that too. Member Covert.
Just going off of what member Evans has said, we have strategic planning committee today, and I'm the chair of strategic planning, so I just got an idea. And we basically oversee a lot of different committees here. Environmental is one of our main goals here. So I was thinking that maybe we could talk
Any help
about,
I can get, you
discuss
betcha.
how we could implement this policy throughout the committees and really not attack it from the side, but really work.
Thank you,
on
Member
it.
Covert. I love that. Good, good. All righty. No old business, no new business. We've covered that a little bit. Without objection, we're adjourned.